Hi, everyone. Welcome to Building Astropad, where we take you behind the scenes as we build our company, bootstrapping a software and hardware business, sharing lessons we've learned along the way and things we're going through in that moment. So I'm Matt Runge, and today I wanted to share a lesson I've learned over the past couple of years about managing my own psychology as a founder and CEO. So I want to talk about what that means. What does it mean to manage your own psychology? So really, to me, it comes down about keeping a positive attitude even when things get tough so you can keep getting things done. And it's a lot harder to do than it sounds. And what I found is when we first struck out on our own, is that it was super critical to making forward progress. It's super easy to get stuck in a rut and get stalled in what you're working on. And what I found is, in some ways, it's easier when you're working at a company for somebody else. It's easy to blame your negativity on something else, like your lack of productivity on other things around you. Maybe you complain about the tools you have or your office environment, or maybe it's the product decisions you're not happy with, right? You find something that, oh, I would do this so differently. And then you're out on your own, really. It's just like maybe you and a co-founder or two, and you're working on something in the early stages and you're getting stuck in a rut. And this time around, there's nobody to blame, right? And of course, not that it's human nature to want to blame things on others, right? Not saying we always do it and we do it all the time, but that's often where you go to. You're like, oh, it's not my fault. It's somebody else's fault. Well, guess what? You're out on your own. You're trying something new. There's nobody else to blame. And can be a pretty harsh reality, right? And that was really hard for me to deal with this first, right? Is like, you're not being productive, time's slipping away, you're not making the progress on the features and the product you wanted, customers aren't sticking around, right? You're getting really, really frustrated. And it's tough. And it's super important, though, to make forward progress that you get that under control. And even more so when you have a team, because a team's going to lock on way more onto your attitude and your mood, I've found, than you realize. People are going to sense it. So if you're disappointed in something, if you're not excited about it, how's anybody else going to be excited about it, right? So that's super, super important. And it's easy to get crippled and focus on the wrong things when you're stuck in a rut like that. For me, I've seen it where I obsess about something where, maybe user numbers aren't going the way we want. Maybe revenue isn't going how we want. Maybe a competitor has just launched a feature that we've been working on, right? And it's really easy to just focus on that and not see anything else, not see the things that are going right, and just to focus on that one thing. Other times I've seen this happen. Maybe you've got a competitor out there that just raised some huge round of funding from a well-known, prominent VC. And you're like, wow, how are we going to compete against that, right? In our case, we're a bootstrap startup. So somebody come in with, a big war chest. It's like, oh, wow, okay, what are we going to do now? Maybe it's somebody launching a product that you've been working on. They launched the exactly what you want to build. It's a future product you want to build, and somebody just launched that. These are times when I've found myself really getting stuck in that rut. And it's hard. It's really hard not to get stalled. It really, really is. And I certainly haven't figured it all out, but over the past couple of years, I've figured out a couple ways to help myself through this. One, if you have a co-founder, it's awesome to talk to a co-founder. Giovanni and I, my co-founder, Giovanni, often we're opposites in this, where one of us will be feeling really down in the dumps about something, and the other one's not. The other one's like, what are you talking about? This is awesome. Or this just means there's a huge opportunity. Competition here isn't bad. That just means there's a huge opportunity. Or seeing things from a different perspective. So it really, really helps. I can't tell you the number of times where I've talked to Giovanni and either he's picking me up or I'm picking him up, right? One of those ways. We talk through that. And at the end, you're like, okay, maybe things aren't as bad as I was worried it was going to be, right? And generally they aren't. The other thing is sleeping on it. I find that sometimes if I get really frustrated, I either take a nap or literally sometimes you even got to check out for the day and just literally sleep on it, wake up, have a new day, start a new day. And that new day doesn't seem so bad. You're like, oh, Yeah, that's not a big deal. I don't know why I was obsessing over that. We can totally tackle that. Oh, actually, these revenue numbers, oh, that was just one day. Actually, the rest of the month looks awesome, right? Like you'll see it from a different perspective. At least that's what works for me. Other things is, yeah, just getting away from it, taking a walk. I'll take a walk, listen to some music. That helps. Work on something fun too. That's something else where, I'm just not feeling something. Something's not feeling right. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to work on another project. It might not be super important for what I need to do right now, but I'm going to just fire it up. I'm going to work on it. I want to work on something fun, really get that excitement back, work on something that excited you about doing a company in the first place, building this product or whatever it is you're doing in the first place, right? That's what I'll do. I'll go back to that. Like I love a lot of the coding, some of the low level coding stuff. So I'll jump into that, have fun with it and be like, oh yeah, this is why I'm doing this. This is really fun. I like to build stuff. I like to create stuff. Okay, this is fun. And then that enthusiasm spreads, right? It's hard for it not to be contagious. And, another one that my wife's a big proponent of, and I've done, this is a common one, but it's done wonders as well, is just exercising, taking a break in the middle of the day and be like, you know what, I'm going to go for a run. I'm going to go whatever it is you like to do. That usually gets the blood pumping and gives you a new perspective as well. And that's helped a ton. And especially it's important too. Like if you need to talk to other people, if it's not just you and a co-founder, maybe you have more people on your team, right? And maybe you're feeling down the dumps. These are important things to do before you talk to them so that you can come prepared in a better mood, right? Because again, like I said, how's anybody else going to believe in what you're doing if you in that moment aren't feeling so hyped about it? So it's important. And even that helps to get, at least for me, out of the things where I'm like stuck in it in the moment. The other thing is if you can take action on something, right? If you're frustrated with something and you can turn it into something positive. So a good example of that would be us early on, right? We had been working on Astropad in secret for, this was not quite a year and a half yet, at least a year. And a competitor came out and released ahead of us. We had no idea this competitor was coming. And we were super bummed because we thought that releasing Astropad, part of it was going to be totally new and novel. And that was going to help us get PR. And so we were really bummed about this. What we ended up doing though, is we ended up blogging about our experience and what we were up to. And somehow, I don't remember how, but we got a bunch of traffic on that article. We had actually made its way to Hacker News. And we got a ton of people that signed up to be beta testers. So it ended up turning lemons into lemonade in that case. And those beta testers were super important in getting that first version of Astropad out. Because before that, we really didn't have any beta testers. We used this as an opportunity to do something about it. So I try to remember that as well when you get stuck in those moments, and remember how important it is to, try to keep your head on straight and try to keep a positive attitude, because without it, it's so easy to get stuck in what you're doing and feel like you're not going to be able to successfully complete the project or build whatever you're doing, right? So a few things I've learned, at least I've learned a lot about myself going through these experiences these past couple of years, and hopefully it's helpful for somebody else. But yeah, that's really all I have for today. So let me know what you think. As usual, if there's anything you'd like me to cover or general feedback about the podcast and what we're up to, let me know. Matt@astropad.com. Until next time.